What's up, YouTube? We're gonna make a short video today. Don't know why this is so difficult to find any type of information on this, so let's just kind of do a quick rundown real quick. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be replacing the factory hard line for the oil feed from the side of the block to the oil feed on the turbocharger. This, as far as fittings and lines go, this pertains to pretty much all Volvo white blocks. I'm sure as far as TD04 turbos go, there's plenty other applications that they can use this information as well. But let me just kind of show you guys here on the table. So, things you're going to need. First thing you're going to need is an M14 by 1.5 to -4 AN. This is the fitting that you're going to be putting into the block side of the feed line. The second fitting you're going to need, you can go with a banjo style like this, or you can even go with a straight fitting like this. Either or, it really depends on what your application is, and whatever's going to suit your needs best. As far as the turbo side goes, on this application we're going to use a banjo. So the turbo feed on Volvo TD04s is M12 by 1.5. One thing to keep in mind that for some reason a lot of people don't understand, anytime you're using a metric fitting, so if you're using a banjo like this setup here, or even if you're using a straight, if you look here, I don't know if I can get that on camera. It should show up on camera, but you've got just this smooth section here on the bottom of the fitting. Okay, what that's for, I don't have the M14 fitting right now, or washer, but basically what that's for is that's for the washer to sit on. Okay, anytime you use a metric fitting, you always need a crush washer. Okay, do not put Teflon tape, do not put any type of sealant on these threads. Okay, the only thing that you use, crush washer. On a banjo style, obviously you have two sides of a banjo, so you need one here. It's gonna be kind of hard to do one-handed, but so on a banjo style, it would look like this. Another thing to note, you have, I've got to see if I can get this on camera here. It'll focus in for you guys. Yeah. So on one side of the washer, the ridge is very smooth. It tapers off. If you flip the washer over on the other side of the ridge, I don't know if you'll be able to see that on camera, but it's flat. It doesn't taper off. Okay, so this flat side here always goes down. Always. Same here. Flat side goes down. Smooth side here on the fitting portion of the banjo, that goes up, and it'll sit like that. Okay, same thing on a straight fitting. Okay, you want your tapered side to be on the top here, flat side here, so when you screw it into whatever threaded bung you're trying to screw into, or into your block or anything like that, it's mated flush up against that surface, thus making the seal. As far as the two fittings go, the last thing you're going to need, obviously, is your oil line. This particular application, we're using a -4. Another thing that seems to be overlooked a lot, just in turbo systems in general, your oil feed line, please make sure you're using a PTFE line. Do not use just a standard AN hose. Don't do it. You're asking for a problem. This is high pressure oil. It's a lot of heat that runs through this line. I understand the standard AN hose, most of them are rated to like 350, 400 psi. Don't even risk the chance, because in these lines, in these PTFE lines, there's actually a PTFE sleeve that's built into here. Okay, and that line has less of a chance of swelling. Okay, so if you're using a regular AN hose and you just have regular rubber hose, all that is just rubber hose with either braided nylon or stainless steel braided over it. That hose can still swell, and in a lot of cases you won't see them swell, you'll see them actually collapse inside. And if your oil feed for your turbo collapses internally, well, now you're just cutting off your oil supply to your turbo, and you're going to destroy your bearings or bushings for journal bearings. Just kind of have this 16T set up here just so we can kind of go through real quick. This is hard one-handed. Okay, here's oil feed. This one's M12 while 1.5. Coolant ports. If you want to run if you want to convert your water lines to -6 AN, they're also M12 by 1.5. Again, I don't know why this information is so difficult to find, but that's why we're here, to help you guys out. So both sides here. This is an older style CHRA, so on this one we've got coolant in, out, versus on a newer style it would be in, out here. But irregardless, Mitsubishi TD04HLs, M12 1.5 oil feed, M12 1.5 coolant in and coolant out. So let's go ahead and we'll jack up this customer's car, and I'll show you guys how to remove the factory oil line. Okay, so we got the customer's car jacked up. Let's see if we can get it on camera here. Alright, so here's your oil feed. This one here, you can see these are obviously not the correct crush washers that are on here. This was solely a band-aid to slow down the leak using a washer with a larger mating surface. What's happened here with this fitting is the mating surface on the bottom of the banjo bolt, this oil line has been bent so many times throughout this car's life. It will not sit flush on the CHRA anymore. So to fix that, we're gonna go ahead and do the 4AN oil feed conversion. This tends to be a common problem with a lot of these white blocks, where people are swapping turbos out a lot on them, doing the exhaust manifold swaps, like, you know, people who take out regular turbo manifolds and put Jappy folds or R manifolds. Really, it's just you got to be cautious. You just got to be real cautious, or things like this can happen. In this customer's case, it's not necessarily that much of a bad thing. It's kind of more just like a preventative maintenance thing, just to convert it to a 4AN line, just make it simpler to work on if we ever have to take this turbo off again. So let's go ahead and get started to pull this off. If you have a situation like this where you have an oil leak coming from your turbo, and it happens to be this feed line, it happens to be coming from the banjo on this feed line, a tip I will give you guys: if it's leaking from here, okay, that means that this line is under enough tension to make the banjo sit like this, so it's not sitting flush. Okay, even if you're not going to a 4AN braided line and you're just going to replace this oil feed line, okay, always remove this banjo first. Take the banjo off the turbo first. Do not take the one off the block first, okay? Reason being, the threads that are in this CHRA are steel. The threads that are in your block are aluminum. If this line is under tension and you start loosening that oil feed on the side of the block, I can guarantee you 90% of the time you will pull threads out of your block and you're not gonna have a fun time. You are going to hate your life. So top tip, always undo off the turbo feed first. They're steel threads, they're stronger, less chance of messing something up. So I'm gonna go ahead and bust this loose. This is a 17 millimeter, and you wanna use a 6-point socket on this. Do not use a 12-point. You will round these corners off and you will hate your life. So I'm gonna go ahead and bust this off, and then I'll go ahead and get under the car and start recording from there. Okay, so here we are under the car. As you can see here, this is just dripping with oil. All right, so try to see if I can fix this light. It's not so bright. Okay, so this line here is your oil feed. Normally there's a bracket in between the return and the feed here that will kind of clamp those two together. So if you go and follow this oil feed, if I can just get the light out of my way for a second here. Okay. And you look right here. You see that? That banjo fitting. That is your oil feed coming off the oil pump. Again, the threads on that is an M14 by 1.5. The hex nut here on this banjo on the block, this is a 19 millimeter. And again, you want to make sure you're using a 6-point socket. Don't try and use a 12-point socket. Don't try and shove a wrench in here. You're not going to get to it. You need a 6-point socket, 19 mil, and probably like a 3-4 inch extension with a ratchet. You should be able to break it loose. So let me see if I can come out a little bit. Okay. Here's your line. Comes back, runs up along here and up the turbo to the top. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this line off, and then I will start installing some fittings. All right, get our socket on here. There we go. Also, when you break this loose, you are going to spill some oil, so just kind of be prepared for that. I have a drain pan set up underneath the car here. There we go. There went the crush washer, there goes oil. Got the banjo out. And we'll go ahead and slide this line out from here. Pull All right. Now we've got our fitting with our crush washer. It's kind of a tight spot, but you'll get it. Just want to make sure it's not going in crooked. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that up and then meet you guys up at the top. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put this banjo here. Up at the top. Just kind of line it up. Just so it's in the middle. Won't be in the way of. We'll leave it like that, and then we'll snug that banjo down after we get the line installed. So just go ahead and come over here. This one we're gonna run let's put you guys down. So we're actually going to run the 90 off the turbo here, and then it'll run down, and pretty much the same routing that it was intended with factory. So go ahead and go under. I'll hook that up, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like, everything all tightened up and installed. Okay, got the oil line ran. Everything hooked up. Probably could have went with like a foot shorter line, but it'll be okay. And that's it. Simple as that. 2 metric fittings to -4, and that line, that was a 3-foot -4 AN line. Normally I do 2 feet, but this car, we kind of got some future plans for it, so having the extra foot of oil line will help us out in the long run if we do decide to go down that route with another idea that we have with this car. So before I let y'all go, I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of bonus content on this particular customer's car. This has been a long time customer of mine. I met Patrick, wow, like 5 years ago now, maybe longer than that. I first met him, and he had no intention at all of ever even getting into Volvos. So this car kind of holds a little bit of a special place in my heart, because this car has been a labor of love. This car is actually an original New York car. It's seen snow, it's seen salty roads. For a guy like me, who has the privilege to work on nothing but Florida cars, this car was a disaster. But it's actually turned out to be something kind of cool, so I figured I would just show you guys real quick. So, it is an RN swap. the whole goal with this car has always been just to have the most amount of fun for the least amount of money. So the RN motor we're using here is just a XC90 2.5 liter engine. It came out of a 06 XC90. It's got an M56 manual swap with an 850R clutch. Pretty basic. Other than that, just a couple bolt-ons, obviously. But my favorite, absolute favorite part about this car. So, I probably should say too, it's a 1995 Volvo 850 turbo. Obviously 850R front bumper, and it's got a 97 R rear spoiler. It's dark outside, so. But this car's party piece, if we come in here, I'll just turn my light on real quick and show you guys. Bam! That is a 1998 Volvo S70 dashboard, center console with an 850. My light is super bright, but 850 cluster in it. Let me hop in real quick. I'm gonna give you guys the full effect here. Obviously it has a P2 wood steering wheel in it as well, but with 850 door panels in it. So this car, obviously this car used to have tan interior, so this is the last tan piece of the entire car. If anybody has a clean charcoal 850 driver door panel, please hit us up, because we can't seem to find one to save our lives. But yeah, this was a project in itself, and it was just kind of like a crazy idea that we wanted, that he wanted to do. The dashboard that was in this car was just so destroyed, and it really just, it kind of killed the whole vibe for the car for him. So, but we did mount the 850 cluster in here. If you look here, it is all 850 switches. So this dash actually has an entire 95 850 wiring harness mounted into it, which is pretty freaking hilarious. Then we came up with this, just put the USBs for the radio in here, as opposed to having two hazard light switches, because that would just look kind of funky. But yeah, center console. We got an armrest coming for it. But yeah, if you're a Volvo guy and you see this car, it'll definitely make you look twice, like, what the heck? Because yeah, every time we go to a Volvo meet with this car and he rolls the windows down, people just kind of, they look for a second and then they just have a really confused look, and it's pretty funny to see, actually. Okay guys, that's gonna do it for this one. I figured I probably should make the video 30 minutes of me sitting in a chair talking this time. But yeah, I just figured that's just some information that for some reason has always been really difficult to find. So I figure I should just make a video about it. Just to kind of recap, for your oil feed line on white block Volvos, you would need a M12 by 1.5 either banjo or straight style fitting for the oil feed on the turbo, and then you're going to need a M14 by 1.5 banjo or straight fitting for the oil feed on the block. And then obviously you could go with dash 3 or dash 4. Me, I've always used dash 4s on pretty much every turbo setup I've ever put together, so that's pretty standard for me, just to go dash 4 with it. Other than that, that's gonna do it. Next video, reason why this thing is in my garage right now and it is currently 9 o'clock at night is we got a Volvo meet, boys. First one of the year. Super excited, and I can't wait to take you guys along for the ride. So I'll catch you guys in that video. Have a great night.